Hello and welcome back to another SunVox tutorial. This is part 4 of my SunVox for Programmers course on YouTube. And today we're going to be making some drums in our module view. So I want you to open up our project and just follow along. So what we're going to do today is a little different than what we've done before. We're going to load in some samples. SunVox comes with a free sample pack when you download it, and so you don't have to worry about going and downloading other people's sound files or anything like that. What we can do is we can double-click like we're creating a module, but instead of picking any of these modules in here, we can click this load button. And what that will bring us to is a file searcher. And what we want to do is we want to find our SunVox folder. Inside of our SunVox folder, we should have some folders that say effects, examples, instruments, SunVox. These are all the different versions of SunVox. You can press these dots to go back a folder. But then there should also be a instruments folder. And inside this instruments folder, there's going to be some other folders that contain samples. Now, you should know that I've added some of my own downloaded samples to this folder. But folders like bass, bell, drums, guitar, keyboard, pads. I'm not sure about strings. I think strings. Various, wind. These types of folders. These types of folders should be there for you. Again, they are in your SunVox folder under Instruments. So you should be able to find them. What we're going to do is open up the Drums folder. And then we're going to open up our Bass Drums folder right here, Bass. And we're going to start looking through some of the drums we can pick from. Now, SunVox plays a sample at its original tuning when you play a C5 note on it. So let's select bass drum 1 and hit C5. Alright, I think let's pick bass drum 3. It's kind of got a cool sound to it. So select the one you want. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to select bass drum 3 and press OK. And what's that done is it's taken this sample and put it into a sampler module. It's one of the modules that's available inside of the synths thing. And now we can route it to our output, and we can play this as if it was a synth. Generally, we're going to be playing the C5 when it's a sample, but again, you can pick whatever sounds best to you. So let's create a new pattern, and let's put it directly over the top of these two patterns here. Let's double click on it and change our number of lines to be 64. Now select our bass drum, come up into our pattern, and go into edit mode. And we're going to put a bass drum every 16 lines. Actually, let's change our module size to be only 32. There we go. Alright, let's see. Let's clone our pattern so that we can hear it across those things. And let's listen to our song now. Alright, cool. So now we're going to load another sample for our snare drum. Go to load. Let's go back and find that snare folder, and let's pick one we want. I don't like that one at all. I think I'm going to go with the second one. Now let's change the color of this one. I like to change it to more yellow. Okay. So our snare drum is going to go on line 12 and line 28. And we're going to put another bass drum on line 26. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, very cool. Now we're going to create some hi-hats. And instead of loading in hi-hats, which you could do, if we go back, you can see there should be a hi-hat. Yeah, hi-hat right here. Like that. They're just right there. But instead of loading in hi-hats, I want to create a hi-hat using a generator. So create an analog generator. Now under waveform, we're going to pick noise. Let's go ahead and route it to the output. As you can hear, it's noisy. And we're going to turn off sustain. What sustain does is it holds our note down when we hold it down. Turning it off will make it so that it won't sustain itself. As you can hear, it doesn't really have any sound. We have to give some release to it. So down here, we can add some release. Alright, so we turn off sustain and we add our release, and now it should sound something more like a hi-hat. Now there's one more thing we can do. We're going inside of the analog generator, under this blue section, we have filters. And what filters do is they filter out any sound or frequencies that we don't want. So if we bring up our sound analyzer here, we can see this hi-hat is playing a lot of low notes as well as high notes at the same time. What we want to do is filter out the low part of it so that it will only play the high frequencies. And the way we do this is by putting on a high pass filter. Its acronym is HP. And what that does is it allows all the high frequencies to pass through, but the low frequencies will be blocked away. They won't be played. And so, let's go ahead and play it now with the high pass filter. As you can see, we've taken out all those low frequencies, and now it sounds more like a hi-hat. So let's finish off our drum pattern with some hi-hats. We'll do one every 2 lines, so go ahead and change your step to 2, and just add a bunch of C5s in there. There you go. Now let's play our pattern. Cool. Now let's go ahead and put some effects on our drums. The main effect we're going to be using is the distortion effect. And we're going to use the distortion effect to kind of saturate and to kind of make the sound of our drums more crunchy and more satisfying. So let's reroute these modules, our snare drum and our kick drum, through this distortion module, and then we're going to route our distortion module to the output. And instead of bringing the bit depth down, we're going to do what's called a bit crusher. And a bit crusher works kind of like a filter, only instead of filtering out frequencies, what it does is it crushes, it distorts the frequencies. So we can bring this all the way down. Just go ahead and go ahead and bring it down as much as you like. I personally like around the 8,000 range. Let's see what the snare sounds like. Cool. That made our drums a little more satisfying and crunchy. We can also do this to our hi-hat, although we should probably make a different one because a hi-hat wouldn't sound too good crushed all the way down to those lower frequencies. So let's Control-C and Control-V our distortion module. Unroute our hi-hat, reroute it through this distortion module, and then let's bring up our frequency, say to like 1600. Alright, around there sounds pretty good actually. 29,000. So let's see what it sounds like now. And there you go. Now, to finish off this song, we're going to do one last thing. We're going to unroute all of these effect modules from the output. And we're going to create a new effect module. And what this effect is going to be is a compressor. It's right under the amplifier. Bring it in. And we're going to route all of our modules through this one compressor module. And then we're going to route the compressor module to the output. Then, under these parameters, what we're going to do is keep our threshold at 256. I'll explain what these do after we use it. Let's bring our release to 140. And let's change our mode to peak zero latency. Now what we've just created is what's called a limiter. What a limiter does is it prevents the loudness of the song from going above 0 decibels. Now, the terminology doesn't really matter. Basically what it does is it makes it so your song won't click or ruins people's speakers. So it just keeps it from getting too loud. And that will make it so that you can use your songs in your projects without them being too loud or messing stuff up, and they will sound okay. So let's see what it sounds like with this compressor on. With the compressor, you can actually bring up your project volume all the way up to 99. And the way you know whether or not you're clipping is to bring up your volume a lot. And that little place will go red right there if your volume is too high. So 99 volume is right where it won't clip. And now we can save our project. And we can also, well, let's make it a little longer by cloning that section. And then that will be our song. It will be a little 45-second song. But we can save our project, and then we can export our project to a WAV file and just leave it at 16-bit, one file output. Click export, choose where you want to export it. SunVox for programmers song. And press OK, and it will export it. My computer did it really fast. It might take longer or shorter for yours. Our song is pretty basic, so SunVox can export your music extremely quickly. And now what we've done is created that file, and we can go listen to it on our music listening applications, or we can use that file in our video games. If it is the wrong file type, you'll have to download some kind of some kind of converter, so you can convert the sound file from a waveform into an OGG file or an MP3 or whatever you would like to use. SunVox can only export to MIDI and WAV files. That's all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.